Today, I have invited a very special guest to speak about a topic that is so relevant and will be of great value to parents during this global pandemic, and especially here at home in South Africa with the current lockdown that we're facing. So today we discuss technology and kids with an expert in her field. We discuss children's screen time, the risks, some practical tips on keeping a balance, and the importance of a digital detox. Aurelie, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today to share your expertise with me and families around the world, basically. Now, as a fellow brand ambassador for the Kids Love Studio, I know that you have a special interest in technology and children. But I think for the viewers out there, let's start off with a bit of an introduction. Who are you? What is your background? And why the special interest in technology and children?
Yes. Hi, Monique. I'm very glad to talk with you today. So, as you said, my name is Aurelie Andriamialison. I'm a certified kids life coach. My background is actually in psychology, education, and public health. I'm also a happy mother. I have two beautiful and amazing daughters, they're 9 and 11. And I have my studio in Switzerland, so it's Seeds of Joy Kids Life Studio. And I guess the reason why I got interested into this technology and screens issue was the fact that I met so many parents who were just helpless. They were complaining about the time that the kids spent on their devices, the lack of cohesion and harmony in the family. I mean, it's a source of tension everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I also observed among kids a general lack of motivation and inspiration. And I thought there must be a link with the time they spend on screen. So I wanted to do a research. I wanted to know more about it because 99% of people have a device now, pretty much, and we still don't know exactly what it does on your health. So my goal, I think, is really to raise awareness about the health factors to help families and kids find a balance in this digital world we live in today. And I do that through coaching.
That's amazing. And, we can't deny that, especially now in this pandemic and lockdown experienced in countries, children's screen time has shot up more than what it was before. And they've actually become reliant on technology, especially to still carry on with schoolwork. But this is at least a productive use of their time on screens. But, in general, what have you observed in families relating to screen time during the lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. And I think, first of all, we need to recognize that without this amazing technology we have today, we wouldn't have survived to this lockdown. I mean, thanks to the Wi-Fi, the internet connection, the Zoom, the FaceTime, the social media, we managed to keep touch with our loved ones, with our families, grandparents, and that's just great. And I think without this, the feeling of loneliness and isolation would have been much worse. So we need to say thank you to the technology. It's great. There are so many advantages. Parents could continue working from home, kids could continue studying with online courses, and that's absolutely great. But then we need to see the other side of the coin. Because, I mean, let's be honest, who has not overused screen during this lockdown?
I know, I usually get notifications on my phone of screen time, and I'm shocked at how it's gone up lately.
Exactly. I mean, we have all tripled our screen time during this lockdown, and that's normal. I mean, it's understandable because of the social distancing. We had just no choice. And you see parents having back-to-back Zoom meetings, and kids had their homeschooling on screens every day. It was really difficult to do otherwise. But and I'm actually really full of empathy for parents who had to do both. They're really the superhero here because it was tough, and I know what I'm saying. I've been there. It was a big challenge, especially because we couldn't invite friends over for play dates, so we needed to find occupation for our kids. And it was so tempting to just give them the iPad or my smartphone to just have some peace and quiet time for myself.
Mm.
So I'm really part of that as well. I'm not judging anybody, but and I also think that we are facing a paradox here because kids, we are role model for them. So kids watch their parents on their computers all day long, and we're the ones saying, stop screen, switch off your iPad. I mean, in terms of coherence, it's really difficult. And I struggle as well with that because I heard my daughter saying, stop, mom, you're on the screen, and you've been there for so many hours, and you're saying that we are not allowed to watch 1 hour of videos on the iPad. It's not fair. So we have this kind of argument, in my family as well. But this is where I really explain to them, you know why? Your brain, kids, are not the same as mine. Your brain is still being developed. It's not mature enough.
Mm.
I mean, children's brain are completed only when they're 25 years old. Before that, they're still growing and they're very vulnerable to this electromagnetic field and this blue light screen that they face when they are on the iPad. So this has an effect. So I explain that it's a question of age. And so when they understand that there is a purpose, there is a meaning behind it, they understand better and they cooperate.
Yeah.
What I've seen in many families, what I've heard during this lockdown is, and that's problematic, it's when the iPad, the screens take all the space. So literally children spend much more time on digital activities than non-screen activities. It's totally unbalanced. And here we have a problem because there is no clear boundaries. It's like free access, do what you want, as long as I have some quiet time, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. But of course, we need to be more indulgent. It's a very particular period. But this doesn't mean that there is no limit. You need to put boundaries. And I think kids demand these boundaries. Even they will rebel for sure. That's their role. They will rebel anyway. But inside they demand structure. They need to feel protected. So even though they will argue, just be very consistent and firm and say, it's 2 hours max, and that's our contract. And I will talk later on about the fact that you can draft a contract with the kids. You can really have something in writing, something very clear to help everyone with these rules.
Well, I'm excited to get to that juicy bit. And like you say, the structure is so important. Kids do want that. So yes, they will go against it. But right now, their whole environment's changed. Everything's different, so boundaries and structures and stuff at home will still give them that sense of security, 100%.
Yeah, it's the case for so many things in education. We put limits for, eating, sleeping. So screen is exactly the same. You also need to put limits for screen time. So, and of course, it will depend on the age. You will not have the same limit for a 6-year-old than your teens, but limits needs to be there, needs to be known and respected by all.
So then what is the risk of this excessive screen time? What do children face?
So I guess maybe we need to define first what excessive screen time is. The average today among children who are between 8 and 18 years old, they spend in average 7 hours on the screen. In normal time, not lockdown time, normal time.
Wow.
That's huge. When you see that most pediatricians recommend maximum of 2 hours on screen per day. It's already excessive. So knowing that these 2 hours are the limits for avoiding any negative effects on your health, we need to do something because there is an impact on their mental well-being and the physical health as well. Mm-hmm. And there are many studies in the subject. There's a lot of studies that have actually shown negative impacts on the cognitive performance among children, on their physical health, their sleep quality, their eating habits, their mental health, and their social interactions. So we have a lot of studies that show that actually there is an effect. Then there is not always a consensus among these studies, but I will maybe just share a few that I think are relevant for today. For example, when it comes to cognitive performance, we've seen that children who are overstimulated, because when you're on an iPad or video games, it's stimulation all the time, like visually or learning new things. It's so well made. So that's why we become easily addicted. But we've seen that children who are overstimulated with digital media, they learn slower. It will take them more time to learn something. So there will be an impact on the grades and their academic success, for sure. And what is really scary, I think, and that has been observed in mice and rats, is that after an overstimulation, their brain cells, you're supposed to have newly developed brain cells, but they stop. They're not created anymore. And this change is permanent. In another study, which was done in, actually, it's still ongoing. It's a longitudinal study in the United States. And they've seen already that if you spend more than 7 hours on a screen, your cortex, prefrontal cortex, literally shrinks. It gets smaller.
Really, yeah, wow.
You see that normally among people who are 80 years old, not young brains. So again, then it was seen that then if you do like a digital detox after 5 days, you recover. But still, there is an effect.
Well, that makes
so
sense.
Sorry.
No, I was saying that makes complete sense, because children need to understand their brain is a muscle, just like any other part of the body. So it needs to be exercised. So screen time is not giving you any opportunity to exercise and stimulate it properly. So that makes 100% sense.
Yeah, you're right. And we are exposing children to this, really rapid-paced media without knowing the effect on their brain.
Yeah.
And what we've discovered so far is not really good news, I think. And we also see that, when they're on the iPad, there's a lot of advertisements, for example, unhealthy snacks, unhealthy food that will actually compel them to eat crisp and sweets and biscuits, and their eating habits is disturbed. They also love snacking while they're on the screen. So this will have a direct impact on their eating habits. We also know that this blue light on specifically the iPad and the smartphones keep you awake. There's so many kids at 8, 9, 10 o'clock before going to bed who are just checking their WhatsApp message or just chatting with friends on Facebook, and then they can't fall asleep because this blue light is awaking.
I know I struggle with that. I'm often guilty. So I mean, if I struggle because I still have that screen, and I'm an adult, what are developing brains growing through,
Totally, I face the same. I just can't sleep after an hour before going to bed. I'm on my smartphone, for sure. Then there will be an impact on their obesity, because when you don't sleep well, you have a risk for obesity. You will have poor concentration the following day. You will have, I think, issue with taking right decision for yourself. And that's another study. They've seen that kids who spend more than 2 hours on screen, who don't sleep their 9 hours per night, and who don't exercise 60 minutes per day, they are very impulsive, and you always take poorer decision than the one who sleeps 9 hours, who spend only 2 hours on the screen, and who exercise daily. So there's a clear difference. Then we realized after the introduction of the iPhone in 2012, like the smartphones, like 4 years later, among teen girls, there was a rise in depression and anxiety and feeling of loneliness. And it was interesting because having sex at an early age or drinking just dropped, but the depression level raised quite a lot. And even worse, the self-harm among 10 to 14 years girls also increased quite a lot. They call it the Facebook depression, just this excessive time that girls spend on Facebook or social media, because it's a source of comparison. They just, it's all about the physical appearance. So when you're so young and you're not strong inside, of course you will be comparing yourself, and it will have a direct impact on your self-esteem, and anxiety is there. That's human. So Yes, that's the main, I think, things I'd like to share about the negative effects. Now, if you look at the social media, there is actually, and that's what the teens will say, it's a source of socialization, it's a source of connection. And we know that when we send WhatsApp message or we chat on Facebook, there is a dopamine shoot. It helps you to be happy.
Satisfying,
yeah. That's for a limited time. It's fine and it's great. And they also saw that when they have tough time, difficult time, they get social support through social media. So that's a positive effect. But what they share on this social media, like their feeling, their experience, is actually they're just showing that they're vulnerable, and it can be a target to lots of things in terms of bullying or online privacy issues, sexting. We talk about sexting today, and that's scary. That's the really scary part of social media for me.
Exactly. Children are using Facebook and social media as their online journals and diaries. It's not a productive use. It's more about telling them how your day went, how you're feeling, and oh, this boy that and that girl this. It's just this journal that you're reading, which does make them targets, and they're putting themselves out there. So that risk just increases so much more. And then explains the whole rise in depression and the mental health issues as well.
So, yeah, really, today kids need to be really strong and confident inside. And they need to understand there is a difference between your real world and the virtual world, but they don't make any difference. Even, when they talk to each other, it can be really insulting, but it's still words and it's still impacting people. So sometimes they just, use it like to release their aggressivity.
Yeah, so vent, lash out, and
yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So parents need to be aware of all this risk, I think, because clearly addiction is clearly there. Especially in terms of video gaming and social media, we see that people can get addicted. Even the World Health Organization has now recognized video gaming disorder as a disease. It's something that needs to be cured. It exists. So kids just spend their whole night on video game. They cannot stop. Parents don't know how to do. It's clearly there. Mm-hmm. So it's prevent them from really realizing their full potential. It really prevent them from leading their life in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm so concerned about this issue, actually, because I think it's increasing among the young population today.
It's a real thing, and it's important for us all to really know the effects. It's easy to say excessive screen time is bad, but why are we saying this? We need so much more awareness on this. Mm-hmm. So, okay, now parents are aware of the risks of excessive screen time, but now what can they do to help their children or prevent their children from being addicted to their screens? What can parents do?
I think from the start, I would recommend parents to, even before buying the device, they set clear limits and they draft a contract with their children. So a contract can be just like, you sit together with your child and you agree on how you're going to use this device, how long per day, you agree on a time frame, where will you use it, when can you use it. So for example, there is no iPad at the dinner table, there is no iPad that sleeps with you in bed, iPad is only after homeworks are done, and there is no iPad when we have a guest, for example, over. These kind of things that are really precise on paper, and then everybody signs it. It's really like a contract, an agreement.
So you say, treat it like a real business meeting, even before buying it,
Yeah, it's also a way to show kids that this is serious stuff, because there is a health impact, and we want to protect you. I think it's a sign of love.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the idea.
Then I also like the idea of there is a French psychiatrist called Serge Tisseron. He was really into the tech things very early already, and he developed the 3, 6, 9, 12 principle. And that's also a really nice framework for parents to know. 3 means there is no screen at all before 3 years old. No exposure at all to screens. That's not what we see when you go shopping and you have a baby, maybe 1.5 years old with the smartphone playing while the mom is shopping, right? So no screen before 3. 6 is there is no video games before 6 because of this overstimulation. The brain cannot cope. It's too fast for the brain. 9 is you need to introduce internet slowly from 9, not before, with, of course, parents' guidance. And 12 is let your kids surf on the net, but have a very careful eye on it and guide him. So 3, 6, 9, 12.
It's a very nice way to remember, easy to implement for parents as well.
Yeah. Then, of course, I talked about these limits of 2 hours. That's a recommendation by most pediatricians in different countries. So 2 hours would be the limit per day. And then it's also a question of helping your kids understand what balance means. If you spend 30 minutes on your screens, you can play 30 minutes football with your friends. If you spend 30 minutes on your video games, you can play 30 minutes of violin or piano. So just a kind of balance, to have a balanced lifestyle. Always have this in mind. And then I think there is also, if you see that your child is not going to the right direction, you can suggest new activities. You can just stimulate him with other things. Why don't you play a new instrument? Why don't you start this sport? Why don't we do this creative stuff together? Just be there for a source of stimulation. There is not only stimulation in the screens, it can be also in the real life.
I recently spoke about boredom busters and how also getting together with the kids in sort of a family meeting time and discussing some ideas to do throughout the week, because kids also need to stay busy, especially now during lockdown. Mom and dad still have their own work to do. So mom and dad can't keep attending to the kids and giving them ideas and things like that. So it's a good idea to also just sit down, plan some activities ahead so that when they are bored and you don't want to just send them off to screens, they can just grab an idea and go ahead and do it. So obviously you want activities that don't require adult supervision all the time. But yes, there's lots of ways to keep them busy without technology. It is possible.
Yeah, sure. There are many ideas, I think, on the net, how you can keep your kids busy. Thanks to this lockdown, we got so many resources about how to keep our kids busy without screens, so we're not lacking this. I think, so bottom line, I think parents need to keep the conversation around screen. They need to have this tech talk. It's also a way to show interest to what your children are doing on screen. So you are aware, you're updated as well to the latest things, and communication needs to be really present. It's also a way to talk about privacy issues, how to keep safe online, and just having the role of the policeman can be counterproductive. That's why I really encourage parents to show interest to what their kids are doing online. And
it's much more productive or effective if parents, say why and engage in conversation about technology, as you say. Speak about the risks, speak about why it's important. Don't just say, because I said so. Then your child will definitely push back towards that much more. So as you say, don't be scared to have that tech talk.
Yeah, they need meaning, they need sense. Kids are not stupid, they just need to understand, and if it's clear and if it makes sense, they will cooperate. But I would definitely limit Netflix. I mean, it really kills your motivation. We see really teens addicted now to Netflix series. They don't do anything else than watching movies every day, Netflix all day long. So, and also for parents to delay access to social media as much as possible, even after 13, really, if possible, that's the best you can do. And I think if you see that the grades are going down, don't remove totally the device, because you'll have a lot of tension. But you can just explain to your kids that as long as it's not going up, I will just reduce your screen time to 30 minutes per day, and then we can see how it goes. But don't be too drastic as well with your decision.
Yeah.
And the best example we can give to them is being role models. So as parents need also to limit our consumption of screen. And there are times where it's okay to be on the iPad, and there are times where there's just no iPad at all. And I recommend also on a regular basis to have family digital detox, because I've experienced it for a day. And it's amazing to see how, the connections, the family connections are strengthened during this moment of no screen.
I can believe
We played board games, we went outside, we watched our old photo albums instead of watching our, Picasa or photos on the smartphones. It was really nice. So I really encourage to do it as well with your family.
Well, yes, that's definitely something that I want to try with my family, because especially during this lockdown, we have become so addicted. And I also actually encourage the parents that especially now with lockdown, parents are supposed to be role models. So when it's work time, do your work online, and the kids do their work. But when it's break time, parents also take that break. Put the phone down, switch the laptop off, go take a break with your kids. Show them, that balance. So the role modeling, I think it all comes down to that at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. And oh gosh, it's difficult.
It's challenging, but possible.
Because, at the same time, it's our, I don't have it here, but it's my work tool. I have phone calls, I need to be connected to it.
Yeah.
That's why it's really difficult to explain that to kids, because for them it doesn't make sense.
But I like how you said earlier about explaining to them that our brains are different. So mom and dad can afford more screen time for their work, but, so giving them that picture, giving them that understanding to cling to, does give them that structure and ability to push back a bit less. So we've chatted a bit about what parents can do. So what would you recommend that kids do in order to keep this balance in this digital life? What can the kids themselves do?
So I guess for kids, I will again recommend to draft this contract with their parents, and they have a discussion over their screen use. And it's a constructive discussion. Huh? It's not a contract for with punishment, but just a clear definition of how this device will be used at home. And I will really also encourage them to start using digital media with a purpose. Like if you need to learn something, if it's for school, if it's to discover a new thing, that's fine. First, go with that idea. But don't use it as a way to just avoid being bored and just get easily distracted. I know we all love distraction. We all want to watch movies, and that's fine. As long as it's in a moderation and a limited time, that's perfectly fine. But don't go straight to this solution because you don't know what to do. Don't forget your passion. I really encourage them to keep, doing what they love without screen. If you love drawing, keep drawing. If you love playing the piano, continue this. That's a kind of safeguard. It will protect you as well.
So focus.
So don't drop your non-screen activity.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then for the one who has difficulty to manage, maybe they can just include screen time in their daily routine. For example, at 5 p.m. I've done my homework, I have my screen time for an hour. So from 5 to 6, I'm free to use my screen. No one is allowed to disturb me. It's my time. And then I guess it's also more structured and helpful for them.
Yeah, I do that often with routines, bringing in that time so that they know, okay, I'm not going to do it now because I have that time dedicated. Then they actually end up managing their time so much more effectively without mom and dad, because they get excited, if they know Tuesdays is tech day. So that's when they can get an extra half an hour for some gaming time or something like that. They have something to look forward to and work towards as well.
yeah, it can be an incentive for sure. And then for the older one, like maybe preteens and teens, I would recommend that they go to their setting and in the display, they put everything into gray. Because we've seen that if you have a gray, like, black and white gray colors on your screen, you will spend much less time on it and you will not feel attracted to it because the colors and the light are really attractive.
Makes sense.
But then you can try it. It works well.
I'm definitely going to give that
a gray. Go gray.
Go gray and be bored with your phone. It might be easier.
Yeah. Old style, but it works. Then I think, remove all notifications from different apps that you have. It's the constant disturbance. Mm-hmm. And I also want them to be aware about the amount of time they spend each day. So today we know that adolescents, for example, spend 1,500 hours a year on their screen. What can you do with 1,500 hours? You can learn a new language. You can master an instrument. You can have a super fit body if you exercise like an hour daily. You can do so many things. So just to put that into the balance, screen time and other activities, you can excel in so many areas. So just to be aware of, okay, it's 3 hours, 4 hours per day, but at the end of the year, what does it make?
Sure.
Thousands of hours.
Oh, that really.
So this, I think this awareness is also important about the time, the notion of time and the value of time. Because we know how, chronophage, I don't know if it's an English word, but it really draws your attention and time. Time spent on screen are like 2 minutes, but you've been there for 2 hours.
Yeah, that I've also noticed that you feel like it's just been quick, but when you look again, the whole day is gone. And what have you done? Was it productive? What exactly were you doing? What did you go to show for that time? Yeah, no, I'm guilty of that.
So I would really, encourage them to not let these devices guide their life and continue with their passion and connect to their self, to their, their inner world as well, and feel what is right, what is not right. You can feel, when you spend too much time on screen, you don't feel well.
Yeah.
So just know the difference. And, it has really an impact on all the 7 key ingredients that, we talk a lot in our coaching session. These 7 key ingredients, maybe I should just repeat them.
Yes.
First one is about eating healthy, drinking lots of water. We know that screen has an impact on your eating habits. Physical activity, keep moving your body every day. We know that screen has an impact on physical activity. Then it's sleeping, have your 9-10 hours of sleep every day, every night. We know that screens can impact this. Yeah. Then we have positive leisure time. Screen time is leisure time, but it shouldn't be the only leisure time, right? Communication, face-to-face communication. Today, children are just WhatsApping and they don't see each other anymore. So I think they become anxious or they don't feel comfortable to have a face-to-face communication anymore. So we need to also teach them how to have face-to-face real communication. And then the last one, asking for help. We've seen among these teen girls, they don't ask for help. They just get more and more depressed with the social media, and we've seen an increase in suicide rate as well because of this. So all these 7 key ingredients, if they are really kept, in mind and implemented every day, I'm not worried. It's fine. You can use your screen safely, but keep this in place.
I think that's also helpful that, when sitting with your child's routine, including your child in the routine, also sit with the 7 key ingredients and say, all right, where are we bringing all of these things in? Have we covered everything? Are we implementing those 7 key ingredients? Great. Screen time, no problem. We're managing everything well. There is balance, as you say, which is so important.
Exactly. Yeah, so parents are really, really useful here. They need to be the one with the standard, the one reminding, hey, watch out. We need to keep balance here.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, they need to be on the lookout for their kids and role model it. So, well then, what kind of activities do you offer as a kids life coach to support children?
So as a kids life coach, I coach children to really keep a healthy lifestyle, to have a daily routine that includes screens, and to help them have a responsible use of their screens. So I usually do this on an individual basis, where I help them to increase their self-control. So I share with them tools to manage their emotion, to increase their attention skills, to also have a growth mindset where we set goals for each week. So they keep focused on something which is healthy for them. And I also noticed that, with technology, we realize that the level of empathy has decreased, and connection to self is no longer there. So I also organize group coaching. I think it's important that kids can really also learn how to communicate again face to face. We have really nice session outdoors. It's always in nature. We connect to nature. We connect to each other, to ourselves, to our inner world. And it's all based on play, with a strong element of creativity, grounding, and connection to the earth. So they feel, the reality. They feel that we also live in a real world, not only the virtual world.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. I really look forward to my summer camp this coming July, where we're gonna have 3 days outdoors in beautiful nature spots. And we'll talk about these issues, but we will also, talk about our inner superpowers, our self-confidence, how to realize my dreams, how to keep positive, all these very important life skills that, even though you're not addicted to screens, are really important for children to do.
At the end of the day, everything is linked to everything, and it all ties in. So is this camp where you'll be doing a lot of, you use the digital detox?
Yeah, it's a kind of digital detox. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I will not allow any devices during 3 days.
Will defeat the purpose. Yeah. Well, I'd love for you to share some ideas on digital detox and how families can do that. Just some simple steps. So I don't know if maybe after this people can go onto your Facebook page or follow you somehow and get those resources from you, or perhaps visit our global parent support group on the Facebook page as well. So do you perhaps have like 3 main take-home points for parents, or however many, but what are your main take-home for parents today?
I guess my main points would be, first, be a role model for your children. Don't hesitate to draft a contract with them, and ensure they keep their balance, their passions and their balance. And also be indulgent. Sometimes we do a bit more, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's we need to I think they need to develop moderation with screens, but we shouldn't also become too strict with this, because it's part of our world. We cannot do without it. We cannot go backwards. It wouldn't make sense. They're part of our life, but it's just a question of moderation. And be aware of all these risks that they are there. I will of course post information and resources on Facebook in the coming week about this. And there's a really nice movie that I watched, and maybe you know it, Monique. It's Screenager. It's a documentary made by an American doctor, and she has filmed teenagers with their smartphones and the effect it has on them, and the impact it has on families. And it's a very interesting movie. Screenager.
Screenager.
I will share the link as well on the Facebook page.
I'll definitely put that on the movie list to keep busy during lockdown. Screenager. Thanks for that. So Aurelie, is there anything else that you'd like to share with parents and children regarding screen time?
I think my last word will be, follow your dreams, realize your full potential, and don't let devices kill your passion, your dreams.
Don't let that interfere.
Live with it, but don't let him guide your life.
Yeah, you take charge. You be in
You are
control.
responsible. Yeah, you take charge of your own decision and be aware. Yeah, be aware.
I love that. Oh, Aurelie, thank you so much for all of this information. I know I learned a lot from you, technology experts, and how this relates to kids. So thank you so much. I know this is going to be of great value to parents and their families. Um, so yes, just a big thank you and a shout out to all. Advice for parents to follow you and to keep following you on our Global Parent Support Group. I know this week you're going to be sharing a lot of resources and really zoning in on that as this week's topic. So yes, there's lots to learn and advice for parents from there.
Yeah, it's only the beginning. We still need to know a lot more, but it's getting really interesting. So thank you so much, Monique. It was a pleasure for me too.
Thank you so much for joining Kids Life Coaching with me, Monique Engelbrecht, to find out more about how you can encourage a healthy relationship with technology for your children. Now, if you are interested in tailor-made coaching to assist your child with taking responsibility, knowing how to befriend their brains, minds, and bodies in order to reach their full potential, you're welcome to get in touch and discuss the best way forward for your child and family as a whole.